sun to come out, hoping that the stars reach down when the world feels so loud. They come out, pull me close to the sound. The static is clearer now, the voice is clearer now. Feel the groove, feel the groove, yeah.
Hey friends, welcome back to the episode of Getting Close Up, the show focused on independent artists and creatives. I'm your host, Danielle Cox, and I'm so glad you're here because I'm about to introduce you to your new fave. Occasionally, they sing and write songs that set the mood.
Hey.
Occasionally, they inspire their community to activate. And occasionally, they make plans to take over the world.
Well.
And we are here for it all the time. Because today we are getting close up with Jordan Occasionally.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm so happy to be here. I love that intro because that's how I feel sometimes. I'm just jumping into my different modes and it kind of goes with my identity. So Jordan Occasionally. I'm occasionally doing some things, but always doing something.
and I think that's perfect because the name seems to have come about a little happenstance. You talk about it a lot.
Yes.
About how the name came about. But it is still so perfect. It fits.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was. It came about in college. I have a degree in music business from the University of Memphis, and people look up their artist names sometimes on this app called Random Name Generator. I wanted to be JD, but there's a million JDs, and I was like,
you don't want that kind of problem.
I don't want that exactly.
I
don't want to put my music up and it pops up on another JD's page. So I was like, well, people do call me JD, but they call me Jordan sometimes. And I was like, I can't be Jordan sometimes, but I can be Jordan occasionally.
See?
So I was like, that'll work. And I love big words. So that's how it came about.
I've been trying to catch shows with you in it for a minute. Since the first time I heard you were here and I missed it. So I'm excited. Even though this episode is not going to air until June, a little bit later in the summer, I get to see you perform tomorrow.
Right?
And I'm
about to turn up for KC.
About that.
Yes.
I've, have been sitting and just binging your music and absorbing your lyrics. So I want to talk to you about your songwriting. Okay. You've got music on SoundCloud that goes back 15 years.
When I was 15 years old, that's when I first started writing my own songs when I was using my guitar.
God bless SoundCloud.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
And you kind of start out more folksy.
Definitely.
Then so now it's dance pop and R&B. So talk to me about the evolution there.
Yeah, so my first instrument that I ever played was a piano, but I couldn't really get into it the way I got into guitar. And so guitar was my first medium that I used in a cappella, my vocals. Because I was in an a cappella group in high school, and we toured, we competed in national competitions, international competitions.
Taking over the world, what I say.
Exactly. So it was so important to me that I learned how to vocal layer and do all of those types of things on my own music. It came from my a cappella background. So it wasn't until I met the producer, I Know a Creation, that I was like, we kind of have a vibe together that's kind of like a disco vibe. And we keep locking in on that R&B and that disco vibe. And I feel like that's the direction I want to take my music in because I want to make people dance. Yeah. So it was going from that vocal packing, harmony, singing, songwriting, stacking, and all of that good stuff to putting it to dance music. And after that, that's when I really found my calling.
And it's crazy too because you've been making music for a long time, writing songs for a long time. You put out your first EP 1998 in 2019.
Right.
And it seems like it hit the ground running, which does not happen very often. What was that experience like? And what do you think was the reason for that?
So I am independent, but when I was in college, I was a part of this college label called Blue Tom. And the catalyst for that is that they want us to release a single and then release our EP after that. So I released a single with this artist named Dylan Amore, and we released this song called Let It Go, and that was the first ever time that I was on Spotify. So I went from SoundCloud to Spotify for the first time. And then after that, I released Don't Shoot, which I made when I was 17 years old. and I released it at 18. And after that, I was like, I really want to make an EP that is an homage to Memphis culture, to Black culture, to Black pride, and like specifically like on 1998, there's this song called "Dear Bride, Bingham and Bill."
Yes.
And those are different street names in Memphis that are being gentrified. So I wanted to talk about what it's like being from Memphis, and also kind of bring that Blackness in there, that kind of like lens, and just put that out there for people to see. So I was happy that the first people that actually played my music was this local radio station called WYXR, and this amazing DJ and radio producer, DJ Jared J. Boyd. He played Dear Bride, Bingham and Bill on the radio for the first time. So that was the first time I heard myself on radio. So wow. 1998 was loved by the Memphis culture, and it let me know I can make my way in locally, and like what would that look like if I made my way globally as well.
Because that's literally what happened next.
Right.
Like it went from boop, boop. And again, that's rare.
Yeah.
Because then you got seen by, I don't want to say bigger, but like people who are more out there in the mainstream. Sure. Keke Palmer, for crying out loud.
I know.
Like, what?
That was wild. Like when I got like the email from Keke Palmer, because what I did, they did this Instagram call out for like looking for independent artists to be featured on Key TV. And I just asked my network, I was like, hey, can y'all tag Key TV? Because I would love to be a part of Keke Palmer's network. And sure enough, all the tags got her attention. And she did a spotlight series of different independent artists, and I was one of those artists that was featured. So it was definitely such a big career moment for me. And I've had many moments like that, like being on social media, being on Twitter and TikTok, like being followed by my favorite artists. Exactly, like Ravina or Duran Bernard, like being noticed by these amazing people. So who also do a lot for independent artists. So it was really beautiful to like come full circle.
And so we take an angle here on this show to tell the story, but also educate and inform other artists, which I know is right within your roundhouse as well. So we'll talk about that, your wheelhouse. But Memphis, how is Memphis different from other cities where they rallied around you like that? Because that is also something that's unique.
What I love about Memphis is, shameless plug, Music Export Memphis. What they do is they take artists that are putting Memphis on the map, especially independent artists, and they fund their careers. They give them grants. They, allow independent artists to actually have a stage and platform. So when they're going to these different shows, they'll even give you a grant so that you could go and, afford to go on tour for the first time. So I would say that network of independent artists is something that I really don't see in other cities. Like the independent artists and DJ pipeline is like so huge. And like what is beautiful about Memphis is a lot of artists get out the mud. We have our Glorrillas and Slimeronis and all of that. But we also have, Soror and so many other like amazing independent artists that are also queer and trans that are making names for themselves in the city. And it's beautiful because the culture is Black, Indigenous, and POC. It's woman led. It's non-binary. Like you're seeing all of these different types of people interact with each other, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And it goes to show that this is what the world looks like now, and we want people to see that this is what Memphis holds.
I just thought that was so beautiful. I was like, what is the difference? Because everybody's trying to catch on to that.
Yes.
We don't just talk to artists in Kansas City. We talk to artists that are all around the country, and, with hopes of talking to more people around the world and trying to figure out what is that thing that needs to happen.
Yes.
So that people can be homegrown where they grew.
I think it speaks to my tour. It speaks to my tour as well, because I wanted my tour to be friends that are putting the city on. Like, being on tour right now with DJ Dosey, who is an amazing non-binary DJ, like, and also performing with Doche, which is them and their partner. They have a co-ed DJ group, and so our first night in Memphis was with them and also another DJ named Electric Graveyard. So it was like what I love about being independent is showing new audiences what the future of music looks like, and tapping into different cultures of like, okay, you do house, you do Afrobeat, you do EDM, I do disco. How can we bring our people together to dance for the night? And so I think that's really important, of like tapping into like what the city has to offer, you know, just coming from Atlanta, having Chris Pierce perform in Atlanta for the first time and literally be from out of Savannah. So it's like there's so many other independent artists that I'm tapping into, and that I just want to show these are the friends I made on the internet, and now we're performing live together. So it just means a lot. Yeah.
Friends I made on the internet.
That's it.
Performing live. And then from that, you move on to your debut album.
Yes,
Indigo, which is that dance, funk, disco vibe.
Yes.
And it's an ode to your own self-discovery.
Right,
of figuring things out for yourself.
Right.
Is there a song in there that you feel is really a key to your personal story, or that was difficult for you to want to share?
Honestly, Feel the Groove. It's such an underrated gem.
One of my favorite songs is sampled in that.
Yes,
period.
exactly.
I realize we're dancing about an unhoused person, but not just that.
Yes.
She puts on her makeup
exactly.
every day because she cares, y'all.
Like when I wrote that, I was literally organizing protests in Memphis. And I was on the front lines for Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, you know, these people that were at the time in Memphis weren't being talked about. Like, we talk about Say Her Name, and truly they were being erased. And so I was literally out organizing, doing a protest, came home from the protest, wrote Feel the Groove. And it's like, it comes from this moment of just saying, like, how can I get back into my body after experiencing such traumatic and scary.
That's a lot.
Yeah, just emotional, because this happened in 2021, you know, the pandemic, as well as, you know, George Floyd, you know, being brutally murdered in front of the world. And I was coming home from meeting up with other activists and meeting up with other artists, and I was like, how can I channel all of this sadness and all of this rage into music? And that's when I made Feel the Groove. And it really at the time I didn't know that we were sampling, like the producer didn't tell me that we were sampling somebody else. And then I went on a radio station and they were like, do you know this? And I was like, news to me. But it made me so happy that, you know, that's what disco's about. Disco is about sampling.
That's exactly what disco's about.
Exactly. So it's like taking that and making it my own, and like really centering myself and coming into my own like spirituality. Even though I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, I'm into the stars, just trying to give people some type of joy in the midst of a really dark time. That's what Feel the Groove came from. Yeah,
and I guess I take it for granted sometimes. I talk to a lot of artists, and that pivotal time is 2019 and 2020.
Yes.
For so many.
Yes.
They either left where they came from and moved somewhere else to do art, or they just rediscovered their art. They're reconnecting with their art. And we kind of just think, oh, well, everybody was inside, so there's nothing to do but make bread and learn how to play guitar. Well, it was more than that.
Yes.
You know, people forget about all the protests and everything that was going on, and how that's the other inspiration of art, the activism that's connected to it.
It was to think about how it was such a dark time. Like, so many people lost their lives, not only to police brutality, but to a mass disabling event. You know, it was like, how can we still find ways to come together as communities? Like, how can we show that this revolution is something that everyone can take part in? And it's like, social media became the new way of showing what was going on the ground, connecting people with what was happening. And it's like, our ancestors had TVs, you know, like it was, you know, what we saw, you know, as sit-ins and all of these different things, they were being filmed on TV and it was being broadcast. But
it was the first time people got to see that.
Exactly. And now it's like, oh, this is on our phone, and we're constantly on our phones, and we're constantly looking at this every day, and it feels like we have no relief from it. But at the same time, how do we, you know, I'm thinking about Nina Simone, who believes that art should be a reflection of the times. And so how can I make art that's a reflection of the times? And so that's where Like Us came in, you know, like, you know, talking about digital blackface, and like how a lot of artists or a lot of influencers can, and even with the TikTok dancing community, can take from Black culture and extract, but never give homage, never give honesty to where it came from. And
ongoing conversation.
Exactly. And that it all goes into sampling, all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's all connected. And I feel like disco has that same queer roots, Latinx roots, Black roots.
Yeah, it was maligned.
Yeah.
In a similar fashion, with everyone burning all the disco records in the middle of a baseball field.
Yes.
And like that was like the whole thing.
That was the end of disco, and it was just like to know that disco came from as well as like house parties, people that were poor and all they could
house music,
all of that type of stuff. Yeah, and to think about that, it's beautiful to see how all of these cultures are interconnected. It's like, it's just all connected.
Yeah, it is very much so. Switching gears just a tiny bit, because you mentioned the touring and you're currently on tour.
Right.
And you're actually the first artist that I've talked to that's like been on tour multiple times.
Yeah.
And, like, done this sort of thing. And I love that because I really want to talk about it.
Yes.
So with that, from a perspective of thinking of the first time you went on tour, the first time you thought about setting all of that up, how do you get started? I guess that's my question. How do you get started? Like that seems like a lot.
It's a lot of emailing, like email. Like, having my like electronic press kit, which is basically, a sort of a resume as an artist. Like, what shows have you done, and, where how many audience members were in that show? What do you look like on social media? Because these venues are in it for themselves too. They want to promote their venue, So it's like, if they feel like they have to do all the work that night to get people in, they're not going to want to book you.
No, they're not.
So I feel like with me, I was doing social media for such a long time, but I didn't want, my background in college was performance. I had a full ride for performance. So
awesome.
Performing is where my genuine interest lies. And so I was just like, I'm going to email venues. And I realized early on as an independent artist that you can pull a bigger audience if you bring other artists on tour with you.
That's smart.
And so it's like, okay, let me see who I'm friends with that wants to be on tour, And so it was like, you know what? We're going to do something together, and we're going to make this bread together. And so it's like seeing the fact that I'm independent and I see all of these different artists and we're performing on stage together, and there's actually people coming out and people that I've never seen before on social media. All like, it's not just friends and family no more. It's the world now. Like,
you start to find your audience.
Yeah, and it's like, that's such a beautiful thing to see, to witness. So it is hard work, but just do your research about those venues. They want to have shows on Friday nights, so just become that artist where you like, can I open for this act? Or don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Send that email, I would say. Yeah,
that's a big one. How do you determine how many cities to do?
I mean,
because this stuff is costly.
It is, and like I said, shout out to there's artist grants out there for when you are touring and stuff like that. I usually try to do five cities to start out, and then as the tour is rolling, if somebody reaches out and wants to put me on in their city for like a So Far Sound show or something like that, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna hop on that opportunity, because once these venues see that you're touring and that you're doing all these other things, they'll reach out to you as well. So and that's when you
casually say it So Far.
Well, I did Miami. So Far Miami, I did. So and these big. It is, and when a venue's reaching out to you, you better set your price. You like, if you want the band, you gotta pay the big bucks.
Listen,
if you want
today's
the DJ,
price is not yesterday's price.
Exactly. So depending on the type of set, get into your negotiating bag, because they have the money. They're making money from the bar. Like, get into your negotiations of like, hey, you can keep the bar. Let me have the front door and the pre-sale. And it's like, okay, we can make that happen. So that's my music biz background coming in. Honestly,
coming in clutch.
It is.
And that's something, like, when people think about going to school for something, they don't think that.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I ain't gonna make money off of that. But if you know you're gonna be an artist and you're already having to go to school, then it's like,
why not just do something that I really enjoy? And it's really always about, I think all independent artists are following their heart and following their dreams. And I don't think when it comes to independent artists, there's not a one size fit all. I don't think the dream may be to be independent forever, but it is for some people.
Yeah.
And so it's like, just what are your options? Like keeping your options open. I think that's what's really important. And knowing what type of artist you want to be. What do you want to be, sitting in the same seats as Beyonce, or on what stages do you want to be? All of those types of things. Like, I think it's okay to dream big because you never know what could come from it. Like, you can't say that your music is not gonna be good enough. Like, I released Don't Stop, years before it was ever put on TV. It was put on this show called Platonic on Apple TV. If I would have given up on Don't Stop and said, okay, I released it years ago, so no one cares about it, I wouldn't be getting a sync licensing check for a song.
That's right. People forget about sync licensing.
That's what I'm saying. And for those who don't know, sync licensing is when people put your music on movies, games, and, TV shows. So, there's a music supervisor who listens to your music, in this group of other people, and they're like, oh, this will work perfectly for a Jordan Peele movie, or a Ryan Coogler movie, like the compilation for Sinners was like, it got a Grammy. So you have to think about, like, your music is still profitable even years after you put it out. So don't give up on it.
I'm going to tell you, Issa Rae is never going to do this. She already said it. But if she ever do another season of Insecure, Say Less need to be on there.
I'm telling you, Say Less on a romantic scene between Lawrence and Issa. Like, I'm still waiting. I mean, and there's this song I wrote called Hate to Admit It, and we were watching Insecure in there. Like, I was like, Issa, please notice me. And you know what? I know somebody who knows Issa, so I'm one person away. At least I know.
Well, she started radio.
Exactly.
Which was for independent artists.
Exactly.
And she made her own label and then used their music in her show.
And has funded their different albums and all these types of things. And like, there's even a Memphis artist, Taliba Safia, who was featured on radio. So it's like, I'm not that far removed from Taliba. We cool.
I mean, it's gonna be 6 degrees of separation.
Right. So
we're gonna
We're speaking into existence.
Put that out in the
atmosphere. That's gonna be my 2026 resolution.
Because she got a major reason why she had her opportunity was because of something that Pharrell was doing for independent filmmakers.
Yes.
When she was doing Misadventures of the Awkward Black Girl.
There we go.
So, like, it's that paying it forward thing. See that for her? I see that for you.
I know. Thank you so much. I literally can't wait. When that happens, I'm gonna hit y'all up and be like, y'all called it first.
And I'm gonna take that.
Yes. I mean, I got the Keke Palmer, so Issa, come on.
Come on.
It's
coming. It's coming. They friends.
Yes.
I was listening to that song and I was like, oh my gosh, this song needs to be on
Insecure.
so perfect.
Yes.
So let's talk about what's next.
Yes.
So you're on this tour. How many places are you hitting up?
So I've gone, there was a snowstorm, so I couldn't hit up Asheville, and I think there was one more city that we couldn't hit up, but we've gone to Atlanta, Kansas City, and we've done Memphis. Wow. So, and we did 2 shows in Memphis. So that was really amazing. And so what's next for me is actually an EP with this amazing producer called J-Lock. And I've been performing and testing out my new songs on the crowd, and I feel like they're really loving it.
And you've done a lot of work with them.
Yes. And, the theme of the EP is limerence. This feeling of euphoria and infatuation, which I feel like is what queer love is always about without even realizing it. And so I'm so excited for y'all. I'm not going to give too much away, but it's going to make you dance and it's going to make you want to fall in love. So that speaks to it.
So when you're thinking about the next EP for you, what is, since you've already put out an album,
right? What's
the difference between you putting out an EP and an album?
So an EP, I feel like it's a collection of thoughts, whereas like an album is this full thought out piece of work. But sometimes EPs can be like, this is just a collection of these thoughts right here, and these thoughts right here, and these thoughts right here. It's like, it's not exactly an album where it's like there's 10 songs and
it's more cohesive, you
right?
think? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, where it's not just about the number of songs. It's mostly about these songs that I've maybe written a lot of songs, but these songs go together and tell a certain story that I really want to tell the world about. Whereas an album, I feel like it's kind of like a movie, a movie. It's like that. I look at EPs and albums differently. I feel like albums are more like a series, and like EP is more like one movie. So
no, that makes sense. And that's why I wanted to ask that question. Because I've heard some people describe it similarly to what you are.
Yeah.
But not everybody does.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious about that. If like EP is like for some people it's like, oh, this is the introduction.
It is.
But now that I do now that I've done an album, I'm gonna just do albums.
Right.
And then there's some artists that just say, well, I'm just doing singles.
That's it. And I was in my single era for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, single era was strong.
Yeah, like Say Less was a single that I released with J-Lock. If You Want My Love Remix was a single. So it's like I've done my singles, and singles are like episodes, you know what I'm saying? Not the full series, but just you know what I'm saying, just an episode with its own theme. But now I'm ready to give y'all a movie, so that's what the EP is to me. So yeah.
Got you. And while working on this EP, are you still getting support from grants and things like that in order to fund it and do the recording and things like that? No,
like I did this all completely, with a producer that I met on TikTok. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, we actually became really great friends, and he just loves me so much that he didn't ask me to pay for his music.
Oh my gosh,
he just gave me the music to work on.
We're
gonna eat together, obviously.
Bartering and sharing and
exactly.
Everything. Absolutely.
Listen. This music is gonna be going through BMI, ASCAP. The music licensing coordination and sound exchange. We got all the. I'm just naming that for the artists out there. They need to know.
Right. So
there's many ways to get your money. There's a black box out there where these streaming companies are taking money from artists because you haven't claimed the metadata for your music. So we're claiming the metadata, but
reclaiming my metadata.
Right. And we're going but with my friend, we're eating together. So it's like he's investing. It feels like he's investing in me, and I'm investing in him, and together we're going to create something that is not about money. Music isn't about money. It's about the way it makes people feel. So we're creating that vibe together.
Yeah, there was something too about like being able to get paid from performing the songs live.
Yes.
There's that too.
Yes, exactly.
I don't think a lot of people know about that either.
Yeah, that comes through BMI. So you have, the sound recording side and, the live music side, and you can put into the live music side what venue you're performing at, and that venue has a license to perform these for the music that is being performed at their venue. So they have to pay for that. So when you put that up, you get paid the royalties from performing your music live. So I think that's really important for people to know, and not a lot of people know that. Yeah. No,
they don't. So, but I know you.
Gigging artists, though, once you get into that tour brain, you got to think about what is it like being a gigging artist, and how the different ways that I can get paid.
Absolutely. I love how much knowledge you have for just the.
I'm a nerd about music. I really am. There's so much more I still need to learn, but I've kind of got it down. Yeah.
What's something that you haven't gotten into yet that you want to?
You know what? I used to do this years ago, where I used to be like a playlister, where I would listen to people's music and put it on special playlists, make special, videos for it to promote it, do all those types of things. If I could go to a record label and they hire me to be an A&R, I would be so happy. You know what I'm saying? Because I just love discovering new music. And that's another reason why, doing this tour, I've been doing it with DJs as well. I love DJs because they put you on to amazing music. It's not always about, okay, what's going to make everybody dance? Meg Thee Stallion, City Girls, JT. Like, it's not always about playing the songs that people know. They put you on the songs that you've never heard of.
That's what I love about
That's what I love about DJs. I feel like a good DJ isn't going to be playing, Rihanna the whole night. They're going to put you on to K Tronada and and Anderson .Paak. They're gonna throw some people in there that you've never heard of or you thought you knew, but you're like, oh, they made a different type of song. I didn't hear this vibe from them. So I feel like that's who I am as an artist as well. I'm always putting people on to different artists, and so I do that naturally. So if somebody wants to pay me to do that, period.
And I love that for you.
Thank you. It's such a cool job.
It is an amazing job.
Yes.
I was at my job today listening to the music, and I don't know who walked past me But if they walk past me, they just
I
all
hope
they
they got
saw
on.
was
I
this.
hope they got put on. Yes.
That's all they saw.
I love
today.
that.
But thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you.
This is an amazing show.
So much. Thank you. Thank you.
I love an interviewer that knows the music. Like, it makes me happy.
I love music. I love people that make music. Music has always been one of those, my tie to the world.
I love that.
You know, and so I love discovering new artists. This is my opportunity to talk to them about what they do.
I love that.
And so
That's a beautiful job.
Honored, and I thank you. I love my job. I'm glad you love your job.
Yes!
Because I love your job.
Thank you.
Well, there is one more thing that I need you to do.
Uh-oh.
And that is to make your mark on the Wall of Fame
I
while
would
I do my
love
close.
to.
Just a phone up there. Well, that wraps up the
My
show.
favorite color.
Many thanks to Jordan occasionally for joining me today. I told you I was going to introduce you to a new fave, and do I lie? I do not. New episodes of Getting Close Up air every Friday. That's right. We are bringing you a new artist, a new creative every Friday for you to learn and to expand your knowledge with. You're welcome. Thank you guys for joining me, and you're the best part of all of this. And I'll see you again soon for another Close Up. I'll be checking for you. Bye.